So if at any point of time you're not able to see my screen, please do let me know. Okay. So quick introduction about myself. My name is Namita Goel. I'm the channel account manager of Redington. I'll be taking care. I'm taking care of currently the SMB business of Red Hat, which means any non-managed account of Red Hat, which is not in the list of managed accounts. I'm taking care of that business through my esteemed partner network here in UAE. Predominantly, I handle the UAE territory, and I have my colleagues Amir, who manages the managed accounts and other territories. I have my colleague Jarisha, who manages the renewals across the entire GCC minus the Saudi. We have a separate team in Saudi who takes care of the Saudi territory for Red Hat, and we have a team in Egypt as well who takes care of the Egypt inquiries for Red Hat. As of now, we are capable of operating in more than 30 countries for the Red Hat business. So if you have any end user based out of any other country which is not UAE or not any of the Middle East countries, you can also still approach us and we can let you know whether or not we can send you a quotation. So shall we start now, or any questions? Okay. So let's look at the overview today. What are we going to cover? This is our agenda. The overview of Red Hat, what is open source, why we are here, and why we are valued so highly. Okay. The complete Red Hat portfolio, the customers and the partners, how we can work together, who are our customers, and working with Red Hat, how it looks like. So I'm going to start now. Okay. I really wanted this presentation to be more interactive. So Chanaka, just unmute if anybody raises the hand, and please allow people to speak so that we can have a more interactive presentation than a monologue typically. So I wanted to understand some of you. What is your understanding of Red Hat? If anyone would like to say something. Okay, so no hands yet. No worries. So Red Hat, whenever I say Red Hat or whenever I speak this word, the first impression people get in their minds is Red Hat. Okay, it's Linux. Okay, cool. That's really a very big part of Red Hat, and in one way it is correct. But today you will get to know that Red Hat is much, much more than Linux. Predominantly, it is everything between a bare metal to your application layer. Okay, and this is what we are going to see today. So that this misconception that Red Hat is only about Linux will be broken today. Okay. Red Hat is the leading provider of open source enterprise IT solutions, and this company was the first $3 billion open source company in the world. When I say open source, what does it mean? What does it ring? What bell does it ring in your mind? Okay. Open source means that the source code of the software is open. It is not a proprietary software, and you're not literally paying for the software license here. What you're paying here is only for an annual support, or the subscription as we call it, from the Red Hat. Okay, we'll see going forward more in details about the open source community. More than 90% of the Fortune 500 customers are using Red Hat's products and solutions, and Red Hat has capabilities out of 105 offices operating out of 40 plus countries, with a great workforce like some of the best minds who are working at Red Hat to help the customers and the partners. So a question in the mind of most of the people after the acquisition of Red Hat by IBM: will Red Hat remain Red Hat? Yes, Red Hat will still be Red Hat, and there is a reason IBM has invested almost $34 billion in a $3 billion company. Why? Because Red Hat is very, very complementary to the success story of IBM. And ever since this acquisition has happened, we are seeing that both IBM and Red Hat are growing significantly because of this collaboration. How is this happening? Why IBM is an ideal teammate to scale and accelerate Red Hat's future? Okay, IBM is one of those companies which we have probably heard about since our childhood when we started learning computers, right? Okay, so they have a very, very unparalleled track record of innovation and vast experience across the industries. Predominantly, it started from the mainframe computing and some of the most powerful machines IBM has produced so far. The shift started happening when the industry started taking a shift from more hardware centric approach to a more software centric approach, even in the data center. No one would have thought this kind of shift would have happened. But considering the limitations a bare metal can pose in front of you, this shift has taken both uh, IBM into a different tangent, and now Red Hat being a part of IBM, the complementary solution of hardware and software services, when we are talking about hardware and software, it is data center hardware and data center software. Okay, so this particular combination has increased the potential for both, again, the customers, the partners, and for IBM and Red Hat themselves to scale up their offerings. If you look at Linux workloads, they are the maximum number of workloads in the world are running on some or the other form of Linux. So when I say Linux, Linux again is not a proprietary term to be used with Red Hat alone. Linux is an operating system, it's a general name, and Red Hat is one of the distributors of Linux, is the right way to say. Okay, there are other versions of Linux as well. Some of you would be knowing, like Ubuntu, then SUSE, uh, uh, so CentOS now, which is a part of Red Hat itself. So where is the opportunity ahead now for you as a partner and for our customers? So for us, the opportunity lies in reaching out to everywhere where the IBM is. So IBM has a wider reach already than Red Hat. So this is where we as Red Hat distributors and all the Red Hat partners see an opportunity, that wherever IBM is now, Red Hat will be able to reach those countries as well and those customers as well. Okay, IBM's technology, especially IBM Cloud Paks, now will be using the Red Hat's portfolio to upgrade and upgrade their product offering, basically. So IBM is working on optimizing its technologies using the Red Hat's offerings, basically. So this is a very, very close marriage, I can say. And IBM is being at the forefront of championing the causes of STEM initiatives, like having their IBM University, uh, you know, pitching the STEM technologies across the students, industry, academic industry participation. And this is where their collaboration will take the corporate social responsibility in having more STEM initiatives so that people start loving technology more and study about it more. This is the revenue of the company. So again, this is where money lies. As a partner, what do you want to do? You want to invest in your resources into a brand which is growing, consistently growing, and has a very, very bright future. So this is the graph which tells you that yes, this brand is here to stay, and not just to stay, it's here to grow. And if a particular brand is growing, you will also grow as its partner, because that's whole idea. Red Hat has a very, very good partner ecosystem where the partners have substantial growth because of the growth of Red Hat, and partners are our very, very key elements into this growth story. So we take an opportunity to thank our partners who are already working on this. What are the revenues? Let's look at the revenues. Again, I want to show you where the money lies in. Okay, EMEA region, which is what predominantly where we are in, is already having 23.4% market share, or revenue share of Red Hat, rather, I would say. Americas, by default, yes, every technology which comes first is adopted in that region, But if you look at the EMEA growth story, it is a significant part of Red Hat's revenue. And that's where, again, your opportunity lies in. What is the total addressable market? Again, if you want to see whether, as a partner, if you want to calculate your options, whether or not you want to invest into the Red Hat business, this is where is your opportunity. Currently, operating system holds the addressable opportunity for operating system itself is the $14 billion addressable market. Currently, why operating system you think is $14 billion? Okay, let me explain you why. Linux is the fastest growing OS. Now, as you all know, that Microsoft has also committed their uh, their love for, I would say, Linux, and they have come forward and told that SQL Server workloads run best on Red Hat Linux. So, with this kind of acceptability in the market, with one of the best minds in the industry, you can see only Linux is going to only grow. And similarly, the emerging technologies of cloud and infrastructure management will only grow, considering the current pandemic situation. Things have taken, I would say, a 180-degree shift in the way we have been operating ourselves so far. It's no longer going to be always on premise. It's going to be more and more about how you can access your infrastructure from anywhere and how you can manage your infrastructure from everywhere, wherever possible. Coming to the cloud addressable opportunity, it is $15 billion and the middleware is $18 billion, as you can see. So middleware is very, very important now, and it's going to show significant growth because most of the companies now want to invest into the cloud native applications. And when you are making cloud native applications, you need to have a very, very good middleware so that your strategy helps you to have the cloud native applications. This is the only way forward, considering the current situation, which is going to really last very long, as per the industry predictions, that most of the companies like Google and Twitter have already told their employees that you have the choice to work from home until 2021. So when this is the scenario in front of you, you know that your applications can no longer be monolithic, which are like very rudimentary, rigid, and you cannot afford to have any longer non-scalable workloads in your IT strategy. This is where your opportunity lies in. This is the whole addressable market. You can see PaaS and virtualization are holding also a very significant share out of the total addressable opportunity, which means that platform as a service is becoming more and more important. If you do not want to own a particular hardware or a particular asset, you would go for any platform which as a service which can help you to reduce your total cost of ownership but still enjoy the best of technology. So this is, as a partner, this is the opportunity for you to take this message to your customers, basically. So this is what I wanted to say. If there's any question, please definitely raise your hand and Chanaka will unmute you. Let's look at the Red Hat's expanding portfolio. Out of the total addressable market, how are we positioned? How are we doing out of the entire addressable market or amongst all the technologies? Red Hat has a significant market share of, a revenue share of infrastructure related subscriptions alone. When we say infrastructure related subscriptions, here we are talking about the OS, the virtualization, the storage, and the on-premise cloud-like capabilities. Okay. Then we have a very significant 30.9 year-on-year growth on the app dev related and emerging technology subscriptions, which means the middleware portfolio of Red Hat is growing significantly. It is showing a very good year-on-year growth. And the main reason is because the companies understand that they have to make sure that their applications are cloud native, they're using the best technologies for their API, they're using open source integration tools for their applications. These things are putting Red Hat technologies at the forefront of the customer's IT strategies. 19.3 year-on-year growth is for training and services. Of course, when you are using a new technology, you need to ensure that your resources are trained on that. And as a partner, it is your responsibility that you motivate your customer to train themselves on the Red Hat offerings. And this is where you make money as well, when you pitch training and services to your customer. So this is another significant portion which is only growing, as I can see today as well. We have made a significant growth in terms of the services revenue of Red Hat. Who are our customers? And again, if you have this question, why you should go for Red Hat again, who are our customers? Look at this list here. We have 100% of the airlines in the Fortune Global 500 which rely on Red Hat. 100% of the communication service providers, again in the Fortune Global 500 list, they rely on Red Hat. 100% of commercial banks, they rely on Red Hat. And why do you think they rely on Red Hat? One question, why do you think they rely on Red Hat? Okay, and the answer lies in ongoing continuous value that they see by using open source technologies. All these sectors have a very important thrust on keeping their operating costs really low, and that's why these industries choose and rely on Red Hat, because this is where they can keep their operational expenses at the bare minimum so that they can offer more value to their own customers and still earn money from the services that they offer. And of course, needless to say that all these industries have to have secure operations. So when three words here, you can see they are listed here: tried, tested, and trusted. Okay, so that means you need to have open source solution to keep your costs low, but those open source solutions have to be enterprise grade, tested, certified by various bodies, and then they have to be trusted. That means you can trust on them to run your operations and do not run into any kind of compliance issues, basically. So let's see the world of open source. So open source is it's about innovation. It's about how you collaborate with different minds across the world to come up with innovative ideas and innovative solutions to the most common intriguing problems of the world in technology. Okay, so what is the product development model? What is the product development model of open source? Basically, there are thousands of projects which are going on into the open source community. Some of the best minds of Microsoft, Oracle, SAP, IBM, Red Hat, they all come together to create these projects which are bound to solve some of the most common problems or some of the most unique problems of technology or the business. Okay, there are a huge set of people who participate, and Red Hat is one of the biggest contributor into the open source community. So they have dedicated engineers who collaborate with the open source community to contribute into the projects. So the squares that you are seeing here are the upstream projects on which Red Hat engineers work. And when they find any interesting project, they take it into their own fold, they participate, they integrate those open source projects into their current offerings, they test them, they make them enterprise grade, they make them they stabilize those upstream projects by testing them, by doing all kind of security assessments, making sure that the integration is proper with the ongoing offerings, with the existing technology stacks available in the market. And that's how they, again, once the product is stabilized, they again give it back to the community for further innovation. So this way you can see that basically they do not own the project, they do not own a particular product, but they are contributing into the open source community. And that's one of the reasons that you do not see a vendor lock-in in case of Red Hat. Okay, we'll see this again later. So what is the whole process of open source enterprise solutions? There is a rapid iteration, best of the minds working on it. Because of the community development, the problems are getting solved faster and in the most unique manner. Most of these innovations like Hadoop, in terms of big data, you will see that these are all the products of open source community. You get in user interfaces, you get more possibility of more integrations, more predictable and stable lifecycle support because of the community development. But how Red Hat plays into this is once they pick up a particular project, they make sure that a particular product offering is made enterprise grade and available to you for many years. So you have a predictable lifecycle support from Red Hat. Look at the number of projects that have turned into commercial offerings from the open source community. The most common, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, came from Fedora. Red Hat Virtualization came from the open source version of Overt. OpenStack came from RDO. Cephin Cluster Red Hat Storage is coming from the open source community, and the project's called Cephin Cluster. OpenShift, the open source version of OpenShift is OKD. Core OS, which is the container OS, basically it is again coming from the open source community, Project Core OS. CloudForms comes from ManageIQ, and Ansible, we look at Ansible today. Ansible is coming from the open source again. That had bought Ansible as a company and then made it open source. So what's next? Let's see the Red Hat's complete portfolio, and we will see where the money lies in for you. Yeah. Sorry. So as I said earlier, that Red Hat open source solutions work across right from the bare metal up to the public cloud and everywhere, everything which is in between. What do I mean by that? Let's see. We divide our offerings into the various customer challenges. What are the kind of the challenges the customers are facing today? Okay. The very first one, IT optimization. Let's look at the first challenge, IT optimization. Why I'm saying IT optimization? You will still come across many customers who are running their data center workloads into silos where they do not have standardization. They still have outdated technologies because they do not have a proper IT strategy to bring all of these legacy systems into a standardization. This is where your opportunity lies in. Okay. So, have you ever heard these kind of questions from your customer? Like, we released the app on time, but the QA environment, like the test environment, was different from production. Wow. Let me tell you, the first one, this is where I was, say, about 10 years back as a developer. I faced this challenge many times when I am creating my application on dev. It doesn't work on test. It works on test, but it doesn't work on a pre-live environment. Oh, it works perfectly on a pre-live environment, but when it goes to live, it definitely breaks. Yeah. So these are some of the challenges you will hear from the customer and the developers, not just the customers. Developers, the specific roles that I'm talking about. Okay. System administrators, their job is always to make sure that they're compliant, they're having the best, all the security patches in there, no loopholes. So these are some of the challenges. An IT director, their challenges like, oh, I have too many requests from the business units, from the developers communities. We have to keep up our pace with all these growing demands of the storage, server, everything. So if you do not have a proper standardized strategy, these will remain the challenges. Yeah. So let's look at how Red Hat is going to solve these challenges. So Red Hat becomes a very strategic resource for an IT optimization. If any customer is still, for example, running an old AX machine, Unix machines, this is where you need to tell them, boss, please get onto the most usable or the most popular platform of today, which is Red Hat Linux. Why are you still running on those old legacy machines, your workloads? So this is your first opportunity. See, let's say that any organization is driven by the people, process, and their tools. Here we are saying that tools is what your platform is. Okay. So if your tools are not proper, your processes will not be aligned or will not be supported or enabled. And once your processes of an organization are not enabled, the productivity of the people will suffer a lot. Wherever time to market is a constraint for your products in any organization, then IT has to be a very good enabler. And IT can be a very good enabler only if your platform is proper. Yeah. So let's look at what we have at the bare metal layer. Okay. So are you able to see the products which are listed here? We will also zoom in a bit Let me see if I can zoom in a bit. Oops, no. Okay. So at bare metal, we start with Red Hat Enterprise Linux, Red Hat Virtualization, Red Hat Storage, Red Hat Directory Server, and the certificate system. Okay. Let's look at some of these here. The products that support the standardization of the infrastructure are Red Hat Enterprise Linux, Smart Management, and Insights. The new release of Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which is is RHEL 8, it already has Red Hat Insights in it. Now, Linux doesn't need any introduction, but I want you to know today that Red Hat Insights is a predictive analytics tool which is inbuilt in your Linux OS, and it helps you to avoid any problems or unplanned downtimes in your Red Hat environment because it uses an predictive analytics. Okay, and since it is built in your OS, you get a lot of value out of your investment into Red Hat Linux. Red Hat Smart Management is, the old name was Red Hat Satellite, as some of you would be knowing. It helps you to manage your environment supported by RHEL, and it helps you to do your patch control, upgrades. You can completely manage your Red Hat infrastructure using the Red Hat Smart Management at the bare metal level. Okay, so these are the three core products which work at the bare metal layer. Yeah, so if you have, so the beauty of Red Hat Enterprise Linux is you can run any workload in any environment. You just need one OS, which means you can run Red Hat Enterprise Linux on a bare metal. You can use this as a guest OS on your virtualization. You can use this Red Hat Enterprise Linux subscription on your cloud environment, whether you are on AWS or on Azure. You can use Red Hat Linux. You can run your workloads on that. And Red Hat Linux is a very, very key component of your container environment, your containers basically, because it comes in that packaging which is just suitable for running your packaged applications. Yeah. What is the value out of Red Hat Linux? Look at this release of Red Hat Linux 8. It started in 2019 and Red Hat commits its support until 2023 for 8.8. This is the published life cycle of Red Hat, which means there is a minor release every 6 months, and it will go up to the version 8.8, which means you have a predictable infrastructure when you choose to run your workloads on RHEL 8. Any version of Red Hat is supported for 10 years, which brings in a lot of stability into your IT strategy, right? So we have seen what we can do at the bare metal. Let's see what's next. Okay, I am standardizing my bare metal infrastructure. What next? So that was your first step to migrate to a cloud-ready platform, right? So once you are on Red Hat Enterprise Linux, the next thing that you have to think about is how you can virtualize your infrastructure so that you can start your cloud journey. Virtualization is your first step towards your cloud journey, right? So Red Hat OpenStack platform, it is a platform which gives your the capability for your organization to convert your on-prem data center into a private cloud, basically. Red Hat Storage helps is basically a component which helps all of your Red Hat infrastructure. It's a software-defined storage, Ceph and Gluster. Mainly Ceph is used for your container storage, right? Red Hat Virtualization. All of you have predominantly been seeing VMware ruling the market for the virtualization. They were the early adopters. They were the first ones to pioneer the virtualization. But Red Hat Virtualization has existed for a very long time. Is just that Red Hat has not really marketed it enough. It is a KVM based virtualization. I know personally a lot of customers who have optimized their virtualization costs because of using Red Hat virtualization. Your hypervisor is free. You get smart management bundled into the product. You get the possibility of unlimited OS. So you get a lot of value when you choose Red Hat virtualization, and you can save a significant amount of cost by choosing Red Hat virtualization as your virtualization strategy, right? So we have seen about Red Hat virtualization, OpenStack. We have Red Hat Cloud Forms. Basically, if you want to create self-service capabilities in your infrastructure where you can orchestrate, where you can help to provision, you can create service tickets and manage compliance across your virtual machines and your private clouds. This is where CloudForms comes into the picture, right? So if you want to, for example, meter the usage of your on-premise infrastructure or your cloud infrastructure, that is where you should be using the CloudForms. Yeah. And OpenStack, I would say that the biggest use case of OpenStack is among the telcos, because they have massive infrastructure which they need to be able to support the huge subscriber base. So typically OpenStack finds their use in the telcos or in the airlines mainly, or in the banks as well in certain cases. So to be able to scale to the technology, what you need to do is to train yourself and to train your customer both. You grow only when your customer grows. If your customer is not ready to adopt, is not ready to train, it kind of creates a barrier for you as well as a partner, right? Training and certification, it closes all the knowledge and the talent gaps. And Red Hat has a very, very robust training and certification system. It starts from the Red Hat System Administrator 1, 2, and 3, making you basically a Red Hat certified engineer. So Red Hat trainings can be, now because of the pandemic, these are running as virtual trainings, but there are on-site trainings, there are instructor-led trainings, virtual instructor-led trainings, and we have a Red Hat learning subscriptions. For example, you already are an administrator of Linux and you know already a lot. All you need to do is just to pass an exam to become a Red Hat certified engineer. You can subscribe to a learning subscription which is valid for 1 year and gives access to one user. It gives you 2 attempts for the Red Hat RHCE exam, and you can learn at your own pace using the virtual lab environment, using the videos, the training videos, and using all the study material which is available. The beauty of Red Hat Learning subscription is it gives you the access to the learning of all the products of Red Hat. In one subscription, you can learn anything and everything about Red Hat. So here, this is the whole idea about the training and certification. If you have any questions, please keep making a note and we will take them one by one. So coming to the customer references globally here, Intermountain Healthcare, Corflex, and Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. These are some of the customers who have been able to standardize their operations and cut their costs because of the Red Hat infrastructure. Availability, power, and performance are 3 keywords, 3 key takeaways from these customer success stories. Yeah. To those who come from India, this is a very, very good example. Personally, I have worked in NCDEX, which is the Commodities and Derivatives Exchange, and I have worked also on a mainframe. I totally understand the challenges which were there to keep up our stock market always up and running. So BSE, Bombay Stock Exchange, which is one of the biggest exchanges across the world, I can say, they have transformed completely using the Red Hat technology. And look at the statement that they are making. When Google is using the open source, Facebook is using the open source, then why not us? And that's why Google and Facebook are profitable. That's where we wanted to go. And that's when they also, completely transformed their infrastructure and their solutions on Red Hat technologies. There is a very, very beautiful video on YouTube, which you can visit, about National Stock Exchange of India, how they transformed their completely, their dependence on mainframe solutions and very, very monolithic application it was. Trust me, I've worked on it, I know it. It was a more completely monolithic application which they have transformed into microservices architecture. So next challenge that we are going to look at is hybrid cloud infrastructure and the cloud native development. Have you come across these questions? Why do our organizations need the cloud computing? So in the current scenario, it has become more relevant, so it is not difficult for me to explain, where people have been needing now more and more of business continuity, DR, more capability to work from home. So in this scenario, if the cloud computing is not available, or if your infrastructure is not so scalable and flexible, what it is going to restrict you to. So some of the problem statements that we have are, we aren't delivering applications and services fast enough. We need to address the security compliance and our global reach, because now we are truly global. Working from home is actually truly global. Yeah. So we need to improve scale, elasticity, and agility. Yes, absolutely. With all the current situation, elasticity, agility, and ability to scale has become even much more important, and having container-based workloads that work well everywhere and anywhere. This is coming from a site reliability engineer, right? Our developers need to focus on coding. As a developer, personally, I have faced many issues where I had to look into the packages which are installed on my dev environment. Okay, one of the packages interfering with my code. I mean, really, I'm a developer. I cannot look at the versions that are being installed, and anything which is meddling with my software, or the what I have coded, how my files are interacting with the libraries. So adding automation and CI/CD pipelines is, when I say CI/CD, it means continuous integration and continuous development. So it is very, very important for your DevOps strategy to have containerized applications, adopt the microservices architecture, so that developers are actually focused on coding and bringing the applications to live, rather than like really putting their head on the infrastructure related issues. So what do we have to offer? Like, after so much, I've posted a lot that we have this, that, like, what do we have to offer? Yeah. So from infrastructure, we are moving to the container platform, Red Hat OpenShift container platform. It is making a lot of news these days. We have now the latest release which has come is AWS, OpenShift on AWS. Yeah. So some of you would be knowing that Amazon has its own container services, AKS, but they have still understood the importance of having OpenShift workloads running on AWS, because it helps them to earn more money, because a lot of customers are already on OpenShift, and since they are already on OpenShift, it makes a lot of sense to move those customers onto AWS. So this is the latest partnership that Red Hat has today. Okay. We have, in case of container platforms, again, we have Red Hat OpenShift container platform. We'll look into detail what all encompasses into an OpenShift container platform, and Red Hat runtimes, Red Hat process automation. Very few people know that Red Hat has its own BPM suite completely, yeah, which means that you can create any application from the scratch using the process automation manager and using the decision manager of Red Hat. So tomorrow, if you want to create a business process along and attach some workflows to it, you can use the n number of templates which are available in the Red Hat's galaxy of process automation manager. They are free to use business templates. Take a template, add your process to it, fix it in your system, your application is ready. Add the workflows into it. And yes, one more thing. A lot of people have still this perception that Red Hat is only like any Red Hat offering is like a black screen, which is called the command line interface typically. It is no longer just a black screen. It's very, very important that you understand that Red Hat is very, very GUI driven nowadays, and anything and everything in terms of the middleware you can do using GUI apart from the command line interface. So whatever is necessary to be run on a command line interface is there, but rest everything that you want to manage using a graphical user interface, you can do it very well. And that's why they have a process automation manager, they have a decision manager, so that you can create your own forms and work on it. Right. So let's see what are the containers. I've been talking about containers a lot. Yeah. So basically, containers are those lean sandbox processes on a shared Linux kernel. So the point here is, why do we need a container? Because we want to make the best of our resources, and that's why it is said here that it's on a shared Linux kernel, where your applications are packaged with all their dependencies. Any application to run, it requires some amount of compute, network, and storage. Okay, and this is what typically your container is basically. Yeah, it is totally isolated from the underlying infrastructure, because what you want to do is you want to simply run your application to be least bothered about the underlying infrastructure, right? So this is where your capability is using the container. Now, once you have packaged your application into a container, you can run it on any environment within few seconds. So application portability becomes very, very easy. Your test and deployment becomes very, very easy because this containerizing your application gives you a flexibility to develop any idea, quickly test it, and allow you to fail in production if at all. If at all, I'm saying nobody wants to fail, but if it fails, it does not cost too much because you're using a containerized infrastructure. You're using containerized applications. So basically, this gives a lot of flexibility for organizations to test any idea, allow them to fail without incurring too much of cost, which actually adds a lot of value to their success story because the time to market any of your applications or any of your ideas becomes like really, really fast because you are using containers. Any questions about this, please make a note and we'll come back to it. What are some of the container challenges that people come across? Are the container security. So Red Hat OpenShift is a trusted enterprise, is running on the trusted Kubernetes, So this typically takes care of your container security challenges. You get a cloud-like experience everywhere because this is a full stack automated operations on a hybrid cloud infrastructure, right? Application delivery, monitoring, metering, and management is possible using the container management tools which are available within Red Hat OpenShift. So it helps you to manage your containers properly. Yeah. So this is typically the Red Hat's OpenShift ecosystem. Red Hat AMQ Broker helps your messages across different applications to queue up properly and to broker your messages among different applications. Typically, in integration, Red Hat Fuse is like your enterprise, which helps applications to connect together on a single bus. AMQ helps in queuing each other, who will which application will talk to which application first. So once you have enterprise level strategy where you have applications talking to each other, you need MQ because when you have multiple APIs, you want to have proper API management policies, which is around the security of the API, assigning the priorities, monetizing your API. For example, I am Emirates Airlines and I have Clear Trip, I have Make My Trip, flight bookings to my Emirates booking engine. Okay. Now I want to give priority to Clear Trip, for example. So how do I do that? I can do that using my 3-scale API management. I want to have more security around my API exposure. So I do that using 3-scale API management. It really to manage manage the priority of coming from the external. So yeah. Again, automation manager, decision manager, I already spoke about. This is your of Red Hat, which also helps in doing automation of your process development or business process management. All of this is supported by your application lifecycle container orchestration and management using the on a Red Hat OpenShift layer. So this is a portfolio and container portfolio, right? All of this is supported by cloud. What is cloud native development? And so OpenShift has all the latest tools and services to make your development more productive. So it gives you the facility of service mesh, gives you serverless computing, maintains your pipeline, and you can maintain your code versions properly. So some of the British Petroleum, these are some of the worldwide customers, right? And if you want to look at the customers locally, we have Emirates NBD, which is one of the biggest success stories of Red Hat OpenShift platform and the middleware for in this region. So Emirates NBD completely transformed the way banking works by bringing in WhatsApp banking using the OpenShift platform. So any questions around this, please keep making a note and we'll come back to your questions. So next thing that we want to see is automation, right? How we have so many things to manage today, but how do we automate everything, right? We cannot, as a human resource, as an IT person, I wouldn't want to invest my resource, my time, and my ready mind into manually doing all the tasks. So I remember as an application developer, we had to literally, do deployments manually for our software images and database deployment, then making sure all the connectivity, all the parameters are parsed in properly. All of this used to be a manual work, till I would say 6 years or 7 years back. Now, how this was totally automated by Red Hat, it is using the Red Hat Ansible automation platform. Okay, so how it works? What is Ansible? So we'll go to this slide first. So Ansible is a simple automation language which can perfectly describe an IT application infrastructure in Ansible playbooks. So Ansible uses the concept of playbooks, which is very, very simply written in a YAML language. YAML is a very, very simple user-friendly language. For example, if you want to create a database, you will just write create SQL Server database in a very, very user-friendly language. And this will invoke a module which knows the steps to create a database basically for you. So it is basically an automation engine that runs these playbooks or these modules, okay, to relieve you of the worry about remembering the steps every time, to automate your repeatable tasks so that you can achieve your desired results really fast. Okay, it is a complete enterprise framework. So the beauty of Ansible is that it works at your application layer as well as your infrastructure layer. So if you have a mixed environment, for example, you have Windows environment, you have Linux environment, you have n number of network devices that you need to patch. You don't need to go into the controllers of different environments individually and do your task. You can have an automation strategy where you can patch everything together using the Ansible's automation engine and visualize what is happening using the Ansible tower. So it is a framework which helps you to completely automate your infrastructure management, your application rollout, application deployment. There are so many application development companies who are using basically Ansible to deploy and automate the testing of their applications, development of their applications, and production deployments. So this is a very, very good tool. Now when it comes to talking about the customers' needs, I would say that it is not a must-have tool, because the customers' must-have tools are like Nagios, which are for monitoring your network. It is a good to-have tool because once the customer's infrastructure has increased significantly, their need for automation also increases. So this particular offering is good for the customers who have anywhere more than 100 nodes to manage and they want to invest into automation. Okay, so this is a very, very key criteria because the pricing of Ansible is also based on the number of nodes. Okay, so this is the whole idea here. So Ansible can help you to manage your network devices and also your firewalls. So it uses an agentless technology, which is very simple, powerful to implement. It can help you in orchestration of the complex task. It can help you to create, like for example, if you want to create alerts in your system. So after an alert has been created, You want to make sure that there is a next action which is taken as part of the alert creation. So there are many tools which are alert generation systems or alert monitoring systems. But once you get an alert, you need some tool to take an appropriate action on it. Yeah, this is where Ansible will fit in to the system. It can help you any provisioning of any new system with a lot of ease. You can configure your servers, networks, and devices. You can deploy and manage applications. Yeah, and it is also a very very integral part of your DevOps strategies, because it can help you to maintain your CI/CD pipeline. The beauty of Ansible is it can integrate with your existing enterprise technology, because it works on a mixed environment, so you need not to bother about where it will work or not. Again, with Ansible, there is an Ansible Galaxy where you can find the templates for everything. For example, if you have an F5 network firewall and you want to know how to patch it, you want to do that action where you want to patch your firewall, but you have F5 firewall also, and maybe in another site you have a Sonic wall firewall, into another site you have a Fortinet. So how do you automate doing all three together? That is where you get the playbooks where everything is already pre-coded there, and you just use a YAML language to integrate these modules in your playbooks. So what you get with Ansible, basically open REST API, which enables the integration with your source control systems to maintain the modules. You get a visual dashboard, which is your Ansible tower for creating and managing complex templates. And you can see what is exactly happening for your generating your reports, generating compliance reports. Integration with Galaxy and Ansible.com open source community. So if there is any, as I said, the value of open source here is that if there is any problem and you want to look for the solution of any particular problem, you can always go back to this open source community and get your solution basically. It also does a proper log monitoring and integration with the third-party log analytics tool. It provides you role-based access management system here. You can manage your access controls and user credentials using Ansible. It is a centralized auditable system, not audible. Yeah. So it helps you to do credential management, manage your CMDB resources so that you can properly create a track of your assets, basically. So typically, I would say a very, very good addition to your entire service management capabilities. So this is a small whiteboarding which is available. For example, on your left hand side, you can see you have 3 people doing Red Hat, Microsoft, and networking part, right? So now how you can automate it without automation, this is how you will need. You will need 3 different people to do 3 different tasks. But when you have Ansible, you can basically reduce your risk, and you can increase your responsiveness. And with Ansible automation, one person basically can do all the tasks together. This will reduce your time to response to any kind of challenges that you have. And the idea here is to have a lot of scalability, but still while maintaining the security and the control, right? And never to forget that Ansible is agentless. Some of the customer success stories, oh my god, it's the British Army. So I need to say more? Like, yeah. So if the army is using it, then you know what it is. And to tell you, another customer reference is NASA itself. Yeah. So now you know that NASA is also working from home because of this pandemic, and they're making the best use of Ansible. Yeah. So in nutshell, I've completed the complete portfolio of Red Hat. And here it is for you. I can send you this particular, I will send you a PPT where you can have a look at the entire product portfolio and whatever I've been talking about. So again, a quick revisit. At bare metal, you have Red Hat Enterprise Linux, powered by the virtualization and the OpenStack platform with a hyper-converged infrastructure capabilities. At the container level, you have OpenShift Container Platform. Then comes your middleware on top of it, where you can run your Red Hat runtimes like JBoss Enterprise Application Platform, Red Hat Integration, and using the Fuse and Red Hat Process Automation Manager. All of this is supported by the automation tools that we have, which is Ansible Automation, Red Hat Cloud Forms, Insights, and the Smart Management, right? Then Red Hat also has OpenShift Container platform for the developers, and they have a complete developer suite. Also, they have some applications for the IoT infrastructure also, the platform I mean to say. So OpenShift Container Platform in its compressed form is available for IoT applications also. So with all of this is supported by the Red Hat's consulting services. In this part of the world, OpenShift consulting is still, Red Hat actively takes part into any OpenShift consulting projects and helps its partners who are bringing these opportunities. Also, the Red Hat training and certification system. Red Hat works a lot with certifying its projects across the various OEMs, basically. So that's why one of the key use cases of Red Hat Enterprise Linux is like working with SAP. Red Hat OpenShift Container Platform runs on your Azure and AWS. So these are some of the partners that Red Hat works with. Like, let's look at the customers and the partners. So some of the alternatives that I would like to discuss with you, if you want to do a little bit of comparative study of what fits in where. So if a customer is looking for an application server, then you know that you can pitch them Red Hat JBoss Enterprise Application Platform and JBoss Web Server. Okay. It definitely, so the competitive alternative is Oracle WebLogic Server. So wherever customer wants to change from Oracle WebLogic, they can think about Red Hat JBoss EAP. When it comes to in-memory data grid, then Red Hat JBoss Data Grid is the answer. Enterprise Service Bus, if any customer is using, for example, MuleSoft or TIBCO or Oracle SOA suite, then you can pitch them Red Hat JBoss Fuse. Data virtualization and data services. So this is where the Red Hat JBoss data virtualization comes in picture. Some of you would be knowing about Denodo already, okay, which is also a very, very popular open source tool for data virtualization. Business rules and process automation, we have Red Hat JBoss BRMS and BPM suite. For messaging, we already discussed, we have Red Hat JBoss AMQ. So if anybody is using RabbitMQ or TIBCO EMS or Oracle AQ, we can pitch them Red Hat JBoss AMQ. For system management, we have Red Hat Satellite, which is the smart management now. Coming to the operating system, I have already told you that Linux is a generic word. So there are different Linux distributors in the open source community, which is like SUSE Linux, Ubuntu, but all of them have very limited capability compared to Red Hat Linux. Red Hat Linux 8 is now having container capabilities. It can help you to, already having a container, basically. It can be used as a container OS. Right. So when a customer is looking at a platform as a service, then the answer is OpenShift by Red Hat. Now all of these, as you can see, Amazon Web Services and all, they are like, all working in collaboration, because collaboration is the way forward. For cloud orchestration, when you want to do a cloud management, we have Red Hat Cloud Forms, but also I understand that IBM's multi-cloud management tool is going to be the way forward. This is what is my understanding. Going forward, because it is a fairly superior product. IaaS is basically infrastructure as a service. So Red Hat has its own cloud infrastructure suite. Then we have OpenStack platform and supported by Red Hat Enterprise Linux and Satellite. For virtualization, anywhere you see an opportunity to bring down the cost of customer by replacing VMware, you can go for Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization. For storage, we have Red Hat Software Defined Storage, Ceph and Gluster. So the customer references are also given to you in the site. So this was a comparative study, and we have already discussed about some of the customers like Emirates NBT, Orange, ExxonMobil, Lockheed Martin, BMW. Most of the banks I can say in this region, in UAE and Qatar, are already using Red Hat now. They are already on their journey for cloud native application development. They're using the Red Hat's middleware, and they're using Red Hat OpenShift platform now. Strategic partnership we have with AWS. For Ansible, we have the strategic partnership with Cisco. For HP, with HP, obviously, like, these are the OEM partnerships Red Hat has with Google, Microsoft, and yes, SAP remains my favorite all the time. So if any of your customer is using SAP, you can consider putting them on Red Hat virtualization using Guest OS. So how about working with Red Hat? Like, what can we do together as a partner? So now I'm going to take you through the partner program of Red Hat. So we have a multi-tier model here. It starts with the Red Hat Ready partner. So once you want to start Red Hat as a new business unit in your organization, you have to register yourself as a Red Hat Ready partner. And one thing I want to emphasize here is that from this April, it is a strict mandate to us that if you want to get a quotation even from us, you need to be a registered Red Hat partner. This is non-negotiable. Okay, so now you need, and Red Hat Ready partnership is without any obligations. It is free of charge. It gives you access to the online trainings of Red Hat. So there are a lot of advantages of being a Red Hat Ready partner. Once it gives you the ability to publish your profile on the Red Hat's portal. So every partner who registers as a Red Hat Ready partner gets a publishing on the page of Red Hat as a partner listing that we call it, right? So you start from a Red Hat Ready partner, you bring the SMB and mid-market business to Red Hat, and that's where you have the possibility to scale up to the advanced partnership of Red Hat. So advanced business partners are the ones who are specialized into at least one of the skills out of the data center, cloud, automation, or middleware. Okay, so you need to attain that specialization. You need to have at least one Red Hat certified engineer in your organization. You must complete all the mandatory accreditations, which are free of cost, on the Red Hat's open partner portal. And you need to commit a certain level of revenue, which is in discussion with the partner account manager, to be able to get to the status of the advanced business partnership. Being an advanced partner gives you access to the deal registration, and you get access to the Red Hat's consulting, where Red Hat will help you to close certain deals by talking to the customer. Premier business partner. So the specialization required for premier business partner is minimum of the 2 skills that you need to acquire to become a premier business partner. That's like mandatory. There's a revenue commitment. You need to have a minimum of 2 Red Hat certified engineers to attain the premier business partnership. This is the highest level of partnership which is available. It gives you a significant discount advantage for any new deal. You get to do a deal registration here as well, but your margins increase much more than advanced or ready partner in comparison. There is an annual fee for advanced and premier partnership, but that can be looked at. And so this is all about the different tiers of partnership of Red Hat. Okay. So as you have already seen the graph of the revenue growth of Red Hat, which is going up. So once you are a partner, your graph will also go up along with the graph of Red Hat, only when you focus on selling the Red Hat products proactively. Okay. To all the ready partners, my take is that you bring a deal to us as Redington. We always help you to close the deals. Even if you're a ready partner, we help to engage the right kind of discussion with your customers to help them take a decision and close it in the favor of Red Hat. Program benefits: you get to develop the skill sets by training yourself on the Red Hat technologies online, free of charge. Once you decide to take the paid certification, there are plenty of Red Hat trainings available. Of course, we have a partnership here with Global Knowledge. You can take their instructor-led training and certify yourself by using their examination center. Okay, so as a Red Hat partner, as a Red Hat business partner, you get access to your portal where you can request not for resale subscriptions to run any POC of Red Hat for your customer. Okay, which is irrespective of your partnership status, you can request an NFR, which is a very, very good thing for you to practice yourself as well as do a POC for your customer. So Red Hat's pricing model is basically an annual subscription. So once you clock a deal, you are actually assuring yourself a fixed revenue every year on year. So you keep earning the same amount of money every year by the renewals that you will do every year for Red Hat. Okay, and our renewal rates are very, very good. Most of the customers do the renewal because they understand the importance of having a supported version of Red Hat. Okay. Access to promotional tools, including customer success stories. We do awareness. There are a lot of webinars of Red Hat delivered by Red Hat themselves. You get access to all those webinars, and you can definitely build on the customer stories that we have today. So, still now, I would say that Red Hat is not a commodity like any other brand. Okay, and since it is not still a commodity, you get, still as a partner, you get to make your margins. So basically, what we bring to your business, once you put a Red Hat logo next to your name, it brings a lot of respect to you automatically as a system integrator who is eligible to implement or do the Red Hat business, basically. So, plus you continuously scale up yourselves in terms of technology, because Red Hat is going to be the way forward, as I've already set my initial stage based on that. Yeah. What we do as Redington, we help in partner identification and onboarding. This is my primary job. So we speak to the partners, look at their outlook. We make sure that we do your skills enablement. We will, like, if you have ever interacted with me, trust me, I will be at your back all the time, making sure that you are doing your enablement program by doing your online trainings. We have a business development focus. We also, whenever we get a new lead, we definitely, think about matching the new lead, the requirement with the partner's capability, and we distribute those leads to our partners. Okay, we do a lot of partner development and enablement activities in collaboration with Red Hat, so that you grow, and when you grow, that's my growth. So it's very important for me to keep my focus on my partners, and this is typically what we do. What are the requirements for the training for any partner, whether you are a Red Hat ready partner or an advanced partner, or you want to become an advanced partner or a premium partner? There are 3 roles that we have identified: sales, sales engineer, and delivery. Salesperson would be like me, talking all the sales jargon. Sorry, not to demean really you guys, but then yes, we are the ones who introduce a product or introduce an idea to the customer. So we are the first ones, the front runners, as we say. So to be able to pitch the right kind of solution to the customer, we first of all need to equip ourselves with the knowledge, with the competitive positioning. And it is very, very important for that matter to do the Red Hat sales, the trainings which are available online for free, to understand the product, the positioning, and the objection handling basically. And yes, of course, the pricing. Sales engineers are the ones which I say that they are the trusted advisors of the customer, right? You're the one who will be like a pre-sales, having a both techno-commercial role, doing the objection handling of the customer, designing a solution for the customer, doing a demo if required. So this is a sales engineer's role, and as part of this role, there are specific sales engineer accreditations or the open trainings that are supposed to be achieved by a particular sales engineer in a company. Delivery engineers are the ones who are the hands-on guys who do the implementation. The beauty of Red Hat trainings, which are online trainings, is that you get access to the virtual labs. So you don't need to worry about downloading all the stuff on your laptop or on your computer. Yeah, whatever is being taught in the online courses, you can practice it there and then using the virtual labs, right? You can, again, as we said, that you are the one who is going to design a particular solution, so you can do a POC using your the delivery capabilities. For that, you need to train yourself. And Let me stress this fact today that if you're not learning Red Hat today, you will be obsolete in 2 years of time. This is my message to all the technical people. Those who are into the field of infrastructure, if you're not learning what we have today, you're moving fast towards the obsolescence. So here we come to almost an end of our presentation. So again, the key takeaways today: we are the biggest open source software company, a high growth multi-billion dollar company, having a wide variety of products and services, right from the bare metal to the public cloud. Globally active, we are globally active in all the verticals, in all the markets. It's like, because we started with an operating system, there is no option for the customer but to go for IT optimization and go for a standardization, right? We have a direct delivery model in when it comes to Red Hat services. Red Hat has their own engineers. Plus, we have a lot of premier, I would say very niche premier partners. I wouldn't say a lot of premier partners. I should say we have really niche premier partners in this region who have their unique capabilities to deliver the Red Hat services. So, as a ready partner, if you are facing any challenge in terms of delivering any kind of Red Hat services, we can definitely look at collaborating with our premier partners to deliver the services. Red Hat in this region has their own engineers also to deliver the services, and they're very, very good at it. So any kind of challenge you face, you have to let me know, and we can look at it. So thanks a lot for listening to me so patiently. I hope people are still, sticking to the meeting, and I hope there are not a lot of dropouts. So Chanaka, please could you unmute people so that I can see who's okay. So I think we had really good questions from all the attendees. Really, really good questions. Thanks a lot for paying attention. I'm really glad because this is my first time that I'm delivering a webinar, and looking forward to keep connected. In case of any queries, do not hesitate to contact. I'm also available on WhatsApp on the number that I have already sent and broadcasted. So keep in touch, and hope you all have a good time. So Chanaka, I think we can sign off. Thanks a lot again, everybody. Have a good rest of the day and rest of the week.
Thank you, Namita. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chanaka, for being there.